Hello and welcome to Eva's House of Spirit. I'm Eva, and today I want to talk about doors, their symbolism, and how they apply to us in our spiritual lives or magical practice. For this video, I have some notes, some thoughts I wrote down next to me, and on my computer screen where I'm filming, I have some copied and pasted segments from 3 different websites, some information that I'm going to get to share, and I will be linking in the description of this video the 3 URLs for the sites that I will refer to when I get to that point in the video. But I just want to let you know, if I look off camera, not being rude, not doing anything other than referring to notes. So the first thing I'd like to mention is that when I think of doors, what comes to mind for me are the concepts of passages, transitions, boundaries, opportunities, obstacles, new beginnings, endings that precede beginnings, death and rebirth. These aren't all that doors symbolize, but for me, these are the concepts that most readily occur to me when I think of doors. Also, I feel that there is a connection between the number 11 and also the number 2 in Roman numeral form, particularly in relation to doors. There is symbolism and significance there. When I think of the number 11 or the number 2 in Roman numeral form particularly, what symbolism is evoked for me is 2 pillars marking a boundary, a symbolic boundary, like a gate or a portal or a door. And I also find it interesting that in M theory, scientists theorize that there are 11 dimensions. And it's interesting to me that 11 is the number of dimensions that they would theorize exist, because for me at least, I have that association of 11 being one of the numbers that, it is visually it is a symbolic portal, it is a symbolic doorway or a gateway, you know what I mean? And 11 is a master number. Master numbers are particularly significant, very powerful numbers. So being that M theory, it's tied into the theory of sort of what made the Big Bang happen. And in a nutshell, they kind of believe that, if I'm remembering correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in a nutshell, they theorize that 2 dimensions clashed, basically. They kind of came together, and it was, the Big Bang came out of that. But anyway, that's just something, it's a little bit of a side note. I just thought I would throw that in. I do find it interesting that their theory is that there are 11 dimensions, and that 11 is a master number, and 11 symbolizes a symbolic door. And the same could be said again for 2 in Roman numeral form particularly, but just 2 as well. What else did I want to say? Now I think actually I'm going to pause, because I have notes on, ways to work with doors. But let me not get to ways to work with doors until I've covered the information on the 3 websites that I have referenced. Excuse me, I need a sip of my coffee. Okay. Now, on the first website, which is wisdomportal.com, this site actually discusses the symbolism of portals, but portals are essentially doors. On this site, I'm just going to read what they quote about doors. They say that doors symbolize hope, opportunity, opening, passage from one state or world to another, entrance to new life, or initiation. The sheltering aspect of the Great Mother is symbolized here. The open door is both opportunity and liberation. In Christian view, they say the 3 doors of a cathedral or church signify faith, hope, and charity. And Christ is quoted as saying, "I am the door." Then they list Hindu perspective. Divinities are carved on door jambs, indicating the deity through which man enters the Supreme Presence. In Mithraic view, they say the entrance to the 7 zones of paradise, or the cave of initiation. I guess that's what doors symbolize. The Roman view, Janus is the god of doorways. He holds the keys of the power of opening and closing. The same can be said, by the way, of Hecate. She's not Roman. She's actually, well, from what I understand, she's actually, in her origins, most likely Thracian, but she's associated with the Greek pantheon. But they say that Hecate is the holder of the keys, among other things. And they say that she has the power to unlock the desires of any god or man. So I thought I would throw that in myself. That's not actually on this website, but I thought I'd throw that in because, I thought Roman, Greek, then I got to Hecate because I was thinking of Janus, So anyway, in terms of the zodiac, the summer solstice in Cancer is the door of men and symbolizes the dying power and descent of the sun. The Janua Infernae. The winter solstice in Capricorn, the door of the gods, is the ascent and rising power of the sun. The Janua Coeli. These doors are also associated with the entrances and exits of initiation caves and with souls entering and leaving the world. In Hinduism, they are the Deva Yana, Janua Coeli, and the Pitri Yana, Janua Infernae. I'm going to close out that little window where I had those notes. Okay, and the second site that I'm going to be reading information from is, what is this? rusticdoors.com. It's actually, believe it or not, a website for I believe they're a door manufacturer. They're a business that deals in doors. Or if they're not a manufacturer, then they're a company that sells doors, maybe installs doors. But they're in the business of doors. And they had a section on their site that I found really interesting on the symbolism of doors. And I found this interesting because it's interesting to get the perspective of some person or people that is what they do for a living. That is what they're very centered around, in the business that they do. So I was like, wow, it's cool to hear their perspective. It says on their site that the Roman god Janus was the god of doors and doorways, beginnings, endings, transitions, gates, gateways, and time. On a metaphorical level, a door can become an entrance to nearly anything, but it's most commonly used to symbolize the entrance to another world. An open door has been a long-time symbol of a new beginning. A gate is an open type of entrance. When closed, a person can see what lies beyond a gate. A doorway, on the other hand, provides little view to the other side when closed. Doors are associated with privacy, control, and protection much more than welcoming. Much more than a welcoming open view gate. I'm sorry. And they go on to say, just as a door that's an entrance represents a beginning, a door that's an exit represents an end. But while a door can symbolize an ending, it often dually symbolizes both an end and a new beginning. That's kind of how I see it. And finally, doors represent opportunity, especially open ones. Okay, and the final website that I'm going to quote some information from is matadornetwork.com, and they say, in the dream world, an outward opening door could mean that you have a need to be more accessible to others, whereas an inward opening door could represent a desire for self-discovery or introspection. A door might mean a new opening for the awake you, but if it's locked, it could mean opportunities denied to you. In ancient Egypt, a door painted on a tomb was a symbol of a communication channel. And that's kind of interesting too, the idea of a door painted onto something representing a communication channel. In a sense, it's sort of sigilizing or using that symbolization of the door, that if you wanted to imbue something with the quality of being an open channel for spirit communication, maybe drawing or painting a door on that thing somehow would be helpful, being that doors do represent a gate, between, in this case, because it's communication channel, it would represent a gate between this world and the other side. So it would allow communication to flow freely. So maybe if you have a, let's say a place where you like to do your divination, and you want to make that area more empowered, well, maybe if you were to take a big cloth and if you were to embroider or paint, or draw on there with some sort of fabric pen or something, if you were to create the image of a door on that cloth, that would be on your, let's say, divination table, or something that would be in your area of divination, that would be an excellent way to empower that place, to empower that space for spiritual communication. It would sort of be a way to create a channel. But then you have to ask yourself, would you be drawing the door open or closed? I guess you'd have to go on with your intuition on that one. But if you're going to do something like that, I would suggest introspecting first, considering what doors symbolize to you, because your psyche will be essentially empowering that symbol of the door as a communication channel. And you don't want to trigger your psyche to empower that symbol in any possibly negate way. So you really have to be comfortable with the idea of a door as a channel of communication. Whether you draw it open or closed is another question. What does an open door mean to you? What does a closed door mean to you? You may want to sanctify the cloth as well. And if you're going to use an image of a door as an empowered, symbolic, gateway, you know, so that you can get those messages, you may want to somehow include in your imagery something that um, sort of lays down the stipulation that only positive things can come through. You don't want something twisted coming through that channel and creating problems for you. Because, you know, hey, it can happen. So whether you were to use, let's say, runes or some sort of, you know, sigils that you create from affirmations or intentions written out, you know, how you, I covered this in my video on mirrors, where I told you how to, no, not the first one, I think it was the second one, about how to seal mirrors. I have a video, it's one of my mirrors videos, I'm sorry, I forget which one, but it's one of my mirrors videos. I actually cover how to create a sigil using something like a statement that you wrote out of intention. You could maybe use that method to create a sigil, maybe to put on your drawn or painted or embroidered door on your cloth, to symbolize that only, you know, only positive things can utilize that door. Like, you know, you don't want something, or maybe you could stipulate only communications can come through the door, not actual entities, or something along those lines. It's just an idea I threw out there with the whole door, because of the concept of you know, the painted door in Egyptian tombs. You know, I thought for a divination area that would be a great idea, but you may want to really think about that before you take that idea of using the image of a door. You may want to explore that a little bit, think it through, be sure that you've covered your bases, because you want to be sure that if you're going to use something like that, all that comes out of it is something beneficial. And now, that all said, I'd like to go into some of my ideas and some things that I know about how you might use doors in your work, in your spiritual work, in your magical work. The first thing I'd like to mention is something that actually is not an idea of mine. It's an old belief. There is an old belief that if you hang a broom behind your door, you know, behind your front door, and you could do this in your back door too, hang a broom behind the door, and that is supposed to keep out negative or counterproductive witchcraft that comes from some other source, not from you, but like if someone were to try to, let's say, cast on you or your family, you know, that would, keeping a broom behind the door, you know, hanging it behind your door, your front and back door, is supposed to keep that out, that negative, you know, if somebody were to try to cast something on you, or if someone were to try to counter the work that you do, you know, especially in terms of trying to harm you or your family, your loved ones that live in the house. It keeps negativity out. And the way that that does that is, if you think of the symbolism of a broom sweeps negativity out. It sweeps it away. So having that behind the door, it's in effect, you have, excuse me, you have a protective tool behind your door, creating almost like a sanctified barrier, so that the negativity can't come in, because that sweeping broom is behind the door. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Another idea I have is that you can hang a small mirror, or you can hang one of those anti-evil eye talismans, you know, the blue circular disc with the white and the little black dot in the middle that symbolizes a blue eye. Or you can hang a hamsa hand, Did I say that right? Hamsa, I'm sorry. A Hamsa hand on your front door, and your back door on the outside, facing out. Or if you have a window in your door, you could put it on the inside, but looking out. And that can deflect ill intent and or jealousy, referred to as the evil eye. So yeah, a mirror or an anti-evil eye talisman or a Hamsa hand. Also, you can hang a sigil on your door, so that every time you open the door, you're symbolically opening the way for an intention to come into your life. I would say that you'd probably maybe want to hang the sigil on the inside, so that when you open the door, it's like you're opening that way. Or you can hang a sigil on the outside of your door to attract what you're seeking into your home. Or like I said, if you don't want to hang it on the actual outside of your door, if you have a window on your door, a little window pane, you can put a sigil in the window pane, facing outwards, so that if you're standing on the street looking at your house and you look at that window, there's a little sigil in the window of the door, and that could pull in, especially if you create the sigil based on an attracting intent. You could say something like, for example, prosperity is drawn into my home. You can take that statement and reduce that into a sigil. You can use visualization on with doors, to create to manifest certain intents. You can walk through a doorway thinking of, for example, some area of your life where you need to close the door on one chapter and begin another chapter. You could actually walk through a doorway while visualizing yourself transitioning through whatever it is in your life that you need to make that transition from one to the other. And you can close the door behind you and just, say to yourself, I close the door on the past, And maybe if you're going to use a door in your home to do this, you can state out loud after doing this visualization and statement of, going from one room to another. You could say, like, this spell exists only in this point in time. If I walk through this door again, it does not affect the work. The symbol is the symbol, the intention is the intention. Amen, so mote it be, and ashe. Something like that. You can word it how you feel resonates with you, but you want to make a statement that your visualization and your act of using the walking through the door and shutting it behind you is an isolated thing. And you want to state that when you use that door in your mundane life, it has no bearing on your gesture of intention. That, like, walking back through the door does not mean you're going to go back into your past. But that way, if you make that statement out loud, or if you consciously state that to yourself, like, this is an isolated symbolic gesture, my intention is enacted in walking through this door. Hereafter, should I use this physical door, it will not affect the intention that I have set. It will not undo it. It will have no bearing on it. It will just, this is an isolated intention. I release it to the universe. You can also just do purely mental visualizations. You can visualize yourself unlocking a door to what you're seeking in life. Visualize the thing you're seeking on the other side of the door when you mentally throw the door wide open, when you picture that. Picture what you're looking for being on the other side, and picture yourself walking through that door toward that thing. So that would be another good way to utilize the symbol of a door. You can anoint your home's doors or your business's doors with intention appropriate oils to attract and bring in what you seek, or you can also use certain oils like of a protective nature or of a repelling nature to keep out certain things you do not want coming into your home or into your business. So yeah, you can use oils for that. You can use powders for that as well. There's also things like, for example, brick dust. People use brick dust around their property, or you can even just sprinkle it across the boundaries of your doors, because those are the entry points to your home. Some people like to go around the entire home. Brick dust in hoodoo is, from what I understand, utilized to keep out unwanted persons and influences. Anyone who is not good for you or your home or your business, wherever you're sprinkling this brick dust powder, they will be dissuaded from, they will not come in. This will keep them out, or any bad influence it will keep out. That's what brick dust does, So these are my thoughts on doors, the symbolism of doors, how I view doors, how you can potentially work with doors in your spirituality or your magic. I hope that I've given you some good ideas. Again, I'm going to link the 3 websites that I referenced in the description of this video. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, feelings, anything, please, I welcome you to put them in the comment box of this video. And I welcome you to subscribe to my channel. I welcome you to join Eva's House of Spirit on Facebook. And till our next exchange, blessed be and Ashe. Have a great day.